Hi, everybody, and welcome to the holiday edition of Bengal Magazine. Happy holidays to everybody out there. And we've got a great show and a diverse show. We're going to start off with women's hockey and Rob Burke. The coach is going to bring along Rio Flynn, a senior from Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're going to find out how she got to Buffalo State. And then Eugene Lewis is going to talk indoor track and field. And Eugene is bringing along Shaun Winter, his long jumper from Grand Island. And then after that, we're going to go into the pool, and Dan Allen's going to join us. And Dan's bringing along Sam Miner, a junior from Cato, New York. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going into the ice arena and talking with Rob Burke. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking women's hockey now, and Rob Burke joins us, the head coach of the Bengals, bringing along senior Rio Flynn, an American from Winnipeg, Manitoba, whose parents live in Portland, Oregon. We're going to get to that in a minute. But, Rob, thanks for coming back on the show. We've got a few games under our belts now. Yep. I'd like to know the progress of the team, how you think things are going.
Well, we're where we need to be in the ECAC West standings. We're tied for 5th. Our major goal this year is to get back to the playoffs once again, and we've got our eye on that prize. Okay. Along the way so far, we've tried a lot of different looks in our lineup and trying to see what's going to do well for us as we look at the next semester, because the next semester we have the bulk of our in-conference opponents. Okay,
and Rio, do you agree with that assessment from a student-athlete standpoint? What do you see on the ice?
I mean, for sure, I think we started out trying to see where our first years are going to kind of fit in as far as their lineup, first line, third line, right, as well as their position on D, and then especially this last weekend, we kind of think of settled a little bit, so we can move forward for sure.
Let's talk about this Rio Flynn person here next to us. This is quite a journey.
I'd love to.
Tell us, Rio, how one gets from Winnipeg to Buffalo State. What was the recruiting process like?
How much time you got?
Yeah, really, it's kind of a long story. I mean, to make a long story short.
Keep it to a minute and a half.
Okay. Long story short, I went to high school in Ontario, high school and middle school, and that's kind of where I learned to play hockey the most. Oakville, Ontario, actually. And I went to prep school there as well at Appleby College. Okay. And that's kind of how Coach found me, just through a prep league that I play out of the United States and Canada, different teams, different prep schools. And Coach came and saw me a couple of times at different tournaments. And I saw him in my last tournament, I think, my senior weekend, and talked to him afterwards. Kind of gave me the bug, coming to Buff State, and then kind of...
And the rest is history, as they say.
The rest is history, I guess,
So you were born in Winnipeg,
yes.
And then...
I moved. There's a lot of things. My dad works for U.S. Customs, so we did a lot of moving.
We like U.S. Customs on this show, absolutely.
Yep. And we moved to Indiana and then moved to Toronto. And then my parents now live in Oregon, and I stayed in Toronto throughout high school.
Oh, okay, because we do have the Torontonian accent working there, and you're happy to find her, I'm sure.
Absolutely. When I found Rio and she hadn't committed anywhere yet, I was more than happy to pursue her. Right. Found out that Elmira was also pursuing her, and when you win a battle against Elmira, excuse me, or a Plattsburgh or an RIT on the recruiting trail, it's a big deal. So Rio's a big deal.
Wow. Well, we're happy you're here. I'm very curious as to how you do it. The old question of how you do it. Rio is a biology major with hopes of moving into medicine. She's a senior. She's been on our dean's list for 3 straight years. Carries a 3.4 grade point average. I know you're blushing right now, but we're very proud of that here. And we believe in student before athlete, and you are the epitome of that. So how does one do it? It's not like you go to class and put your uniform on and go play, and then that's it. How does one do all of this and do it very well on both the ice and the classroom? Yeah.
I think it's a lot of time management. I know a lot of people preach that, and it's a lot of talk, but you really have to pay attention to your spare time and focusing on school, because that is what's most important. Right. Especially for a female in a sport. It's not really going to get you very far as the athletic standpoint, so doing really well in school is kind of the most important thing. So, my free time at home, as soon as I get home, it's right to the books, basically. Yeah. And sometimes there's a lot of all-nighters, but
Right.
you kind of push through.
Well, congratulations on that. There's a discipline. I think that's the word that you need to have to do all that.
Right.
And in an email that you sent to me about Rio before the show, you called her unselfish. And we use that word a lot. What do you mean by unselfish?
Well, we have, as you well know, a sign in our locker room says "Team first, me last," and it's easy to put words on the wall. It's harder to live it.
Right.
Rio is among many players in our locker room that lives that cliche. And that means that she's making sacrifices for the team, managing her time well so that when she's on team time, she can be focused on team time, especially as an assistant captain this year as a senior.
Good point.
So, and then on the ice, it's reflected in her play. I'm wanting her to get more selfish and take more shots. She's just distributing the puck all the time, looking for those open players, which she does expertly. However, there's also shot lane moments where I'm going, shoot the puck! But she's really unselfish, and it's on and off the ice. She does the things in the classroom that you're supposed to do, in the weight room that you're supposed to do, and of course back on the ice. What you're supposed to do.
Great story.
Yeah.
I want to get back to an opponent that we played, and that was Plattsburgh. And you had talked about how they were recruiting Rio, and this is the number one team.
Elmira was.
Elmira, I'm sorry. This is the number one team in the country.
Correct, undefeated.
Plattsburgh. And you had the fortunate time to play them up there because I think you gain perspective on your team when you play the best. Couple of losses, and yet I'm sure there was a point where you said, I like what we're doing, and now I see where we have to go, et cetera. Explain that to me.
Well, we knew they're number one, undefeated coming into our building, and right after Thanksgiving break, we did a Sunday night video session because we weren't happy how we went into Thanksgiving break, and I'll leave it at that, right, Rio?
Okay.
And then we did a really good job building all week. We had 5 good practices, a lot of emphasis on D-zone coverage, looking to break out the weak side of the ice where hopefully they weren't going to be forechecking, and really when you see the work in practice translate into execution on game day, it's really rewarding as a coach. The discipline positionally that they showed in our zone, because we spend a bulk of the time in our zone, the patience that they showed in our zone, and then when we had opportunities, we tried to take advantage of opportunities. But Plattsburgh doesn't give you many because they don't pinch.
Right.
They don't give up 2-on-1s. They don't give up 3-on-2s. They're very, very disciplined. There's a reason they're the best team in the country right now for sure. But it does definitely help us gauge where we're at right now.
Okay. From your perspective, being on the ice and seeing a number one ranked team, not to give them too much credit, but I'm sure you take away, you're a smart kid, you take away some things that you see, not only from yourself, but also from a team-wise, where we need to go. Do you look at, when you're watching on the bench, you kind of go, oh, that's interesting. Are you kind of coaching too on the bench in your head?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of times where you're saying, like, look at how they're playing, look at their systems, look at the way they set up on the boards, on power play, on penalty kill, kind of try to emulate that in our own play.
Right.
I think it's also a good test to see exactly where we are now,
right.
and where we need to go for the rest of the season so that we can compete with the rest of those top 10 teams.
Okay, we got about a minute and a half left. Sure. So where do we need to go right now? What are you looking at in terms of priorities 1, 2 in terms of improvement and where we need to go?
Well, our power play started off really well this season. We're now at like 19.6%, so it's still very good, but as of late, it's tapered off a bit.
Okay.
Coach Overbeck and I were in the office yesterday. We're going to come back out of the break with 2 different power play looks.
Okay.
So we have 2 power play units right now that have been doing the same thing, but we're coming out of the break with 2 different power plays. So that's one aspect of things. 5-on-5, we've put a lot of emphasis on getting a lot of pucks to the net. We haven't been outshot by anyone except for Plattsburgh in both of those games, and by 1 shot at Newman. So we've been out shooting our opponents, and that hasn't happened in history before. So we're getting consistent in that regard. Now we're just hoping the floodgates are going to open up a little bit. We're just trying to be more offensively minded and just keep building towards that. We've got 4 non-conference games as we come out of the break. We're going to use those as well to build towards our conference games to finish out.
Wow. Well, Rob and Rio, thanks for being on the show, and happy holidays. And you are going to Toronto, Portland, Winnipeg. Where would you spend your holiday?
I'm going to Indianapolis, Indiana. There
Of course, the one city I didn't mention out of 50 cities. Well, congratulations. Have a great holiday, and thanks for being on the show. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, Eugene Lewis in track and field is going to join us. Stay with us. Well, congratulations are going out to Anyar Maychak, our basketball player, a sophomore from Rochester. He is Tim Hortons Athlete of the Week. Anyar grabbed an offensive rebound and put in a layup with about 3 seconds left in an 85-84 win over Potsdam last Friday. And he followed that up with a career-high 27 points the next night. For 2 games, he was averaging 19.5 points, 10 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks. So congratulations to the sophomore from Rochester, Anyar Maychak, from men's basketball. And we are joined now by track and field, and Eugene Lewis, the head coach of the Bengals, joins us, along with Shaun Winter, his long jumper from Grand Island. And welcome, gentlemen. Thanks for being on the show. Thank you. Coach, we're going in, cross country and the distance runners are all ready. Now we move into indoor track and field. And why don't you give us a little preview? Why don't we start with the men first?
Well, with the men, we're excited from the standpoint of we still have a lot of youthfulness in terms of a lot of new recruits coming in, new individuals. And we're also looking for our upperclassmen like Chris Rones and individuals of that sort to do extremely well. So we're very excited because this is the first time in quite a while where we're actually putting the distance piece along with the rest of the talent.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a minute. Talk to us first about the women's side of the track and field program.
Well, with our women right now, we're very excited in terms of we have several women who are All-Americans and have competed at that level that are still a part of the program. So we have very big expectations from them, and we had a very good recruiting class from the standpoint of numbers. And one of the things that we've tried to do with that program is make sure from a talent perspective, we cover all the events.
Great. Now, speaking of talent, the guy sitting next to you has some talent in the long jump from Grand Island, Shaun Winter. And Shaun, we were talking off air about you were at first a 2-sport recruit, I believe. It started with men's soccer, and then something happened a little bit. There was some talk, but why don't you fill us in on what happened and why you're simply with track and field right now?
Yeah, pretty much I came here to play soccer. I was recruited by Coach Pompert.
Right.
And after the first season, Coach Allen said, you got a lot of speed, and I could probably help you with your form, and you could get even faster. So I was like, all right, I'll think about it. And I wound up doing track.
Right.
And pretty much from there, long jumping took off with the help of Coach Lewis with my mechanics and just learning the technique.
Right. And
to Coach DeMitt working on my landing.
There you go.
I couldn't land at all.
Oh, so everything took off for you. We should note that Coach Allen is Marcus Allen, who's the assistant coach for track and field, but also was the strength coach for soccer. So that's an interesting story, and you found your niche with track and field, I believe. First meet was Kent State, and both of you have some comments on that. But I was very curious about our distance runners. Alex Gabot was named the SUNY Indoor Runner of the Week, school record in both the 3,000 and 5,000 at that meet, and that's starting to change now from years before, where I think you used to say, we could get some distance runners, we'd score even more points. What are your thoughts about Kent State?
Absolutely. I mean, we're incredibly excited from the standpoint that along with Coach DeMitt, we've made tremendous efforts in recruiting. And Alex is a young man that came in as a freshman with a lot of talent,
right?
That we had to work with diligently, but he put in the work.
Yeah.
And to see that reflect right away going into a sophomore season, we're terribly excited as coaches. I think the sky's the limit in terms of our distance program with Alex leading the way.
That's fantastic. And this guy next to you, Shaun, you took first in the long jump in that meet, and you're jumping against Division I opponents as well. We should note that. That's at Division III, that's where this program is right now with 6.96. I'm curious, did that surprise you, or is that where you thought you'd be right now this early in the season?
Honestly, I wasn't really surprised at all.
Great.
I wanted to actually go over 23 feet. I don't know, it was just with all the work that I've put in so far,
okay.
I wasn't really surprised, but competing with D1 kids probably pumped me up a little bit.
I was going to ask you that. Do you use that as a motivational factor and say, hey, I can do that?
Yeah, I feel like you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, you get those kids that get noticed out of high school, and then just to go there and beat them, especially beat them at their home meet, and it's probably something I'll keep in mind
Sure.
or I'll remember for a long time.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons you go to meets like this, so they can compete against Division I opponents as well.
Absolutely, because a lot of times, because we have become very talented in certain event groups, we have to kind of seek out competition. Obviously, we've been very good in our conference, so we tend to dominate a lot of those schools in those particular events. So going to a Kent State, Youngstown State, Ohio State, and places of that sort gives us the opportunity to ensure that the competition level is there.
Gotcha. Your expectations for this year, you've already mentioned, 23 feet, et cetera. You took third in the outdoors last year at the conference. That was outdoors. We're indoors now. Do you take that momentum and carry it with you now in the indoor season?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially after last year outdoor. SUNY I jumped over 23. I think it was 23.4, and I missed nationals by 1.5 or 2 inches.
Oh my gosh.
So, especially since I hit the national qualifier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely carry that over into indoor. My overall goal for indoor is to be an All-American this year.
Fantastic.
So.
And that's doable, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the big thing is I tell Shaun all the time, which we've discussed, he's good enough to get to the meet. He just has to perform have the performance. And once he gets there, I'm pretty sure he would have a legitimate opportunity.
Coach, we have about a minute left, and I look at this break, and I know everything kind of goes toward SUNYACs. A little bit like swimming, you want to get them to the point where they're there, conference, and then moving on to nationals. Is that the coaching philosophy, and how do you go about doing that?
Yes, well, the big thing is to, once the season starts, with many sports, the fitness level of your kids is what's really important.
Okay.
To make sure they're healthy, they're in shape, because once the season starts, everything becomes more technical. You want to get better at your technique, your form, your execution, so on and so forth. So the opportunity for strength gains, speed gains, fitness improvement usually happens over the winter break or over the summer.
Okay.
So this winter break time is extremely important because this is an opportunity to make another strength gain. And so we're working diligently with our kids as they go home to continue to work out and prepare for that indoor season.
Well, guys, thanks very much for being on the show. Shaun, congratulations already on a terrific start to the season. And, Coach, best of luck as we move towards SUNYACs and national qualifying. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to go in the pool, and Dan Allen, swimming and diving, will join us. Stay with us.
Hi everyone and welcome to Bengal Update. I'm Samantha Thomas with a recap of news and a look at upcoming events surrounding Buffalo State athletics. Sophomore Alex Gabot was named the conference indoor track runner of the week after his performance in the Bengals season opening meet at Kent State. Alex set 2 school records competing against many Division I competitors. He finished second in the 3,000 meters and 4th in the 5,000 meters. His converted time in the 5,000 meters is the 5th best in Division III so far this season. Defenseman Nikki Kirschberger was named the ECAC West Division's Rookie of the Week. The freshman scored the Bengals' first 2 goals, her 3rd and 4th of the season, in a 3-2 win over Cortland on December 8th. Both goals came while the teams played at even strength. Her teammate Jordan Lee was named the weekly honor roll after posting a .925 save percentage and a 1.46 goals against average in the 2 weekend games. Men's basketball is at the Sports Arena on Friday, December 17th at 7 p.m. for a non-conference game against Central Pennsylvania. Women's basketball is at Hamilton College on Saturday, December 15th at 3 p.m. and returns home to play RIT on Tuesday at the Sports Arena. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. That's it for this week's Bengal Update. I'm Samantha Thomas. Happy holidays, everyone. Now back to you, Tom.
Sam, thanks very much for that Bengal update. We're going to go into the pool now and talk to Dan Allen, head coach of the men's and women's swim team. And Dan has brought along Sam Miner, his junior from Cato, New York. And gentlemen, welcome. Getting a little cooler outside, so it is obviously swim weather, as they say. Dan, couple meets in now. Give us a little progress report. Why don't we talk about the men first?
When we last started, when I talked to Jeff last, we were winding down our first semester. We just finished our last practice this last Saturday. We competed at the MCC Invitational.
Right.
Our women won the Invitational. Our guys got second. Overall, we did really well. We had a lot of season best times. I saw a lot of progression through our 2 months of training, and we're moving towards SUNYACs right now.
Right.
But
there you go.
we're in final exam time. So right now we're just trying to focus on doing well in school.
CEP week, as they call it here at Buffalo State. Absolutely. We have a bit of a challenge right now, and I'd like to get your input on this because with the renovation of Houston Gym, you two don't have a home. Your pool is off limits, so we have moved you to, and the city schools have been very nice about this. The swimmers are at the Graveyards pool down the road, and then the divers are over at UB. Tell me about the challenge of relocating.
The challenge of relocating, to be honest with you, is it's not the practice time. Is just getting to the facility itself.
Sure.
We practice in the morning from 6 to 8, Monday through Thursday, and then in the afternoon and Friday. And getting there is the challenge because they have to provide their own transportation.
Sure.
The upperclassmen pick up a lot of the freshmen on campus, which is great. The divers have a little different schedule. They practice either early in the morning or late at night.
Right.
So I can never really get my whole team swimming and diving team in one facility at one time.
Right.
And that's the challenge. And to be honest with you, I challenged them at the beginning of the year and say, you know what, some of you are going to make it, some of you are not. But I'll tell you right now, if you do this, you'll be a better person for it.
Absolutely, and we appreciate your patience, Sam, because when it's all said and done, Houston Gym's going to be quite a model for other institutions. Sam Miner is along, and Sam, a distance swimmer, as they say, which means long swims, 1,000, 1,500 meters. How does one get into distance swimming? Why not just be a 100 freestyler when you were a youngster at your club pool?
I used to do every single event. I used to do club swimming. I never swam high school. I just went from club to college swimming. And I used to do every single event, the 50 free, 100 free, 200 free, backstroke, fly, IM, everything.
Okay.
And then towards my end of my junior and senior year in high school, I started to focus a little bit more onto what I'm really, really good at. And after a while, I got really good at distance and stuck with it.
Is it easy to find guys like this? Or does everybody want to come to you? Hey, coach, I'll do the 1650 or whatever. I probably not.
You have to have a real knack for distance. To be honest with you, it's hard to find a great distance swimmer. It's my background, actually. I've coached some great distance swimmers, and to find that talent and develop that talent, it's hard to do. You can't turn a sprinter into distance. You can't turn a mid-distance swimmer into distance. You have to find a distance swimmer.
Interesting.
And to be honest with you, for my 8 years of coaching, I've only found a couple of them that I have, let's put it this way, molded into being a distance swimmer, and then stuck with it. And Sam is the prototype. He came in and he was very raw, never really had training. And then that first year we really got him into the training. He really excelled. And then the second year he just took off. And to be honest with you, I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Well, absolutely, and he's only a junior, and I believe the school record holder in both the 1650 and the 1,000. So you're doing something right, Dan. I don't know if you gave him $20 to say that or not, Sam. But this is one of those. We can have fun with this because this is one of those events where I'm up there watching. I'm like, oh my God! I mean, and there's 66 lengths laps, right? And the guy goes in with the sign that says 32. You've done 32 or 34. How do you keep your mind like? Oh my God! I would say, oh my God! I got 34 more to go. It must be amazing to focus in and keep that consistency.
Honestly, it's more of a blackout.
Okay.
I just go. That's all I've always done. Just go. Never really counted my laps. The only numbers I really remember is 3 and 61. Other than that, I just keep pace. I just keep
there's
going.
A reason for 3 and 61?
Oh.
Okay, that's a perfect reason. I mean,
I just keep going and keep going and keep going.
I would think you'd have to. I would think you'd have to. There's just so much swimming involved there. We're talking about, 9, 10, 11 minutes of just swimming.
It's just more about communication, too, because I'm on the sidelines. He's looking for signals from me and making sure he's on the right pace, or if he needs to slow down. Usually I don't ever tell him to slow down. I always tell him to pick it up.
I was about to say. But there is a pace involved.
Yeah, there is a pace involved, and getting that right set of pace. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's one of the hardest challenges, getting into that pace and that rhythm. And some people have it, and some people don't. And trying to maintain that pace for 16 minutes, you'd be surprised how hard that's to do.
Oh, I don't have to be surprised. I've obviously done some swimming, certainly nothing like that. And 4 or 5 of those is like for me, so I can imagine what you're going through. Guys, I wish you the best of luck this season. Good luck the rest of the way, and happy holidays to you. That's going to wrap it up for this show and this year, 2012, here at Bengal Magazine. Happy holidays, everybody, and we'll see you back here in 2013.